Well, hello there. It is Travis, and this video is all about the biggest scams that marketing agencies are running behind your back or not even knowing that they're doing it. And it's actually costing you a ton of money and really building a horrible Google Ads campaign that you'll never be able to get out of. You'll never be able to succeed. And so I want to talk about the four major things that we are seeing over and over and over again. And my hope is you can take this and improve just one of them to get you better results. So let's jump into it. Number one, SEO ROI and PPC ROI into one report. The thing is, most agencies like to show you this total leads across channels. That is kind of fine and dandy. What you miss out on, like caveman calculation, you miss out on what is being contributed by each channel. So if you think about SEO and PPC, you could combine that into a Google channel. Well, which one's doing better? If you're spending $20,000 a month on paid ads and you're spending $5,000 a month on SEO and you're combining it together for a positive ROI, what if SEO is carrying the weight and you're actually blowing $30,000 a month on PPC? And so most agencies don't tell you the separation, and it is your job to hold them accountable, because in our agency, we separate those. We separate so that we can look at PPC in a isolated vacuum and say, this is what the Google Ads campaign is delivering for your investment, because it's really an investment if you think about it. You're putting in dollars hoping to get a return. And so if you're spending $5,000, $10,000 a month, you're getting a certain amount of leads, but PPC only drove 10 of those leads, you're actually paying a lot more for leads than you need to. And so when you start blending these reports together, you actually don't get a clear picture. It's harder for you to make better business decisions as a business owner. So how do you fix this? What do you do to combat this? Well, if you're running Google Ads with a marketing company, you must have them separate PPC conversions and book jobs and ROI from SEO conversions and book jobs and ROI. I think this is the biggest scam, and I say scam, it's probably the biggest pitfall of most agencies. And this is something I'm proud of at Rotate Digital, because it takes a lot of work to do that. I can tell you right now, it's not easy. We have built proprietary software to do this. We have done this over and over again to really nail this down and get it very accurate, that you and I can trust the data to make better decisions. And so don't let SEO and PPC be combined into one report to give you a health metric on how well your Google ads are performing. Scam number two, fake conversion goals. Oh my goodness, we see this over and over and over again. We hear, oh, my conversions are XYZ, my conversions are so amazing, or my cost per click is so low. And then when we get this account, we look into the data, we actually find that the conversions, what is being told to Google is a positive conversion, is not a conversion that you nor I would want at all. Let's say a conversion is a phone call that lasts less than 5 seconds. I know that you and I don't want that. I know that I wouldn't count that as conversion, but our agencies or the agencies set it up like that. Again, we have standards that say, hey, we want calls only over a minute or only over 5 minutes, or we want real form fills. That's what counts as a conversion, not a click on a form fill, not a click on a phone number, but the actual data. Agencies can sometimes just set conversions, whether it's accidentally or on purpose, to include every single call, no matter the length or how long or short, a form click, not an actual submitted form, just sometimes a scroll, a button click sometimes, and sometimes even live chat opens. And all this is, you could justify, but it doesn't even make sense, because when you think about PPC and Google Ads, your job is to get the best leads and then tell Google that these are the best leads so Google can get you better and better ads. The reality is when we open up accounts, most accounts have very useless or accidental conversions that both you and I as business owners would not care about and we would not count that, but the agency set it up like that. So how do you stop yourself from getting kind of screwed over like that? You need a clear report of exactly what a conversion is when it comes to Google Ads. You need your agency to send you that data and send you that. When you create that clear report, of the conversions, you have a very good conversation that can happen, because they may say, hey, any call that's 30 seconds or more is a conversion. And you may go, no, 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 it must be over a minute, or it must be over 5 minutes. And you can have a really valuable conversation to come to a final conclusion of what a conversion really is. So run away from these fake conversion goals. Make sure you agree on what a real conversion is. And in my opinion, a real conversion is a phone call over a minute at minimum and a real form submitted into your CRM. You got to be able to track it into your CRM. All right. So scam number 3 that we see all the time, and I say all the time, is the difference between a 1-to-1 times ROI Google Ads campaign or a 3, 4, 5, 6 times ROI Google Ads campaign. And that is when agencies don't upload offline conversions back to Google. Now, for those of you who don't know what that means, it's offline conversions. We're basically taking a actual real booked move that ends up happening in your CRM that your team does and completes that came from Google Ads. What ends up happening is you need to upload that conversion is a good conversion back into Google Ads. So Google knows this was good. We want more people like this. Because you see what happens if you don't do that, then every single lead, every single conversion in the eyes of Google is counted as equal. And you and I both know that grandma calling, wanting to move her couch from upstairs to downstairs, is not the same value, quality of a conversion as the family of 5 who wants to move from Bloomington, Illinois to Napa, California. And you know those are two different values that you would attribute to them. But Google doesn't know this. And the only way Google can know this is when you take a real positive, good conversion, something that a book job that really happened, and then upload that back to Google. So that's something you can do. Google doesn't know what real quality book jobs look like, and it's our job as agencies to train it to know that. Because again, what's cool is Google's then taking that customer profile and information, warning, scary part, Google knows everything, all the things, and it's going, okay, well, if this is good, what do they do? What does their credit card purchases look like? Where do they live? What kind of job do they have? What are they watching on YouTube? And it creates an avatar to then go, okay, let's try to put your ads in front of more of these type of people. But without offline conversions and uploading those to Google, you'll never get that. Okay, so scam number 4, one of my favorite ones to talk about, is when PPC agencies or marketing agencies are running branded ads, okay? And they're not separating that for you, and they're not telling you about it. So what is a branded ad? A branded ad is when somebody goes to Google and types in your actual business name. My moving company. You can run an ad against your name. Now, there's some good times to do that. We'll talk about that in a second. But the problem is when somebody is actually Googling your name, they're already ready to go find you. And so then they click on the ad. It charges you $1, $2, whatever it is for that click. They end up converting. And then your PPC company is shouting from the rooftop, look at this $5,000 conversion. Now, that's all fine and dandy. But the problem is what happens is if you're not aware of this, what happens is they now give you a report and they say, hey, you spent $5,000 a month on Google Ads this month and you made $20,000 in return. But when you dig deeper into the data, the returns, the booked jobs, we've seen 75 to 90% of those jobs coming from the branded campaigns. Well, the deal is this: the branded campaigns are usually the lowest cost to you as a business owner. So if you're spending $5,000 a month, you may only be spending $500 to $1,000 a month on the branded campaigns, yet it's delivering all the sales. Well, what's the problem? Well, the problem is what happens to that $4,000 extra? Well, what you find out when you dig down into the details is that $4,000 is being run horribly with a bad campaign setup. They're scamming you with these other scams that I just talked about, and you're really ultimately blowing $4,000 a month. So you either really, when you find this out, you have two choices. Number one, stop spending that money and put $50,000 back in your pocket every year, or B, get better returns on that $4,000 a month that you're spending, because again, it's an investment. So how do you stop yourself from being scammed? Well, number one, you have to ask your agency, are you running brand campaigns? Ask your agency that. Are you running branded campaigns? They need to tell you the answer, and hopefully they're honest and they have integrity to tell you the answer, yes or we're not. Hopefully your agency has talked to you about if they're going to run it or not, but a lot of the times we find out that they're not telling you about it. Then once you find out, you need to separate on your reporting the money you're spending on branded campaign searches and the money you're spending on non-branded, right? Cold traffic, someone who's going to Google and they don't know what moving company to look for. So they're typing in movers near me or moving company or long distance movers, and they're typing that in and your ad comes up and they book with you. Well, you need to get that amount that you spend separated. And then from there, you need to understand the return on investment from each one. So for example, let's say you're spending $10,000 a month on PPC. $2,000 is on your branded spend, people searching for your name on Google, and $8,000 is that cold traffic. They don't know who to look for on Google. Well, you need to see that spend is separated on a report. And then on top of that $2,000, you need to see what your return on investment is. How many book jobs specifically did you get from that campaign? And then you need to know from that $8,000, how many book jobs you specifically got from that campaign. And that allows you to make sure that you're not blowing or wasting money on either one. Because a lot of the times, PPC agencies or marketing agencies will combine the $8,000 and $2,000 into a $10,000 and give you a good positive ROI, but it's being carried by the branded campaign search. So you need to make sure that you don't get screwed over in that sense. And of all these scams, one of the best things you can do is to know exactly every lead that comes from Google Ads, the campaign they came from, whether it was a spam lead or a real lead, and the booked job. How much did you get from that booked job? And that requires work. It requires intimacy with your agency to get into your CRM, to look at the data, connect Google Ads data with your CRM data. And it requires this cadence of like weekly reporting. And if you're not getting that, there's, in my opinion, way too much unknown for you as a business owner to continue investing in Google Ads. You need to know that data so you know if you're getting a return on investment because you're spending your hard-earned money on this. And it will be great when you do this, because when you do this, you will then get clarity on how to incrementally improve it. You will be able to make better business decisions like, hey, let's improve this or let's stop doing this. And ultimately, your money goes so much further because you're either keeping it for yourself or you're getting what you need from it. So those are the 4 scams: blending in SEO and PPC reports, fake conversion goals, not uploading offline conversions, and combining branded campaigns into normal campaigns and not reporting on that and not knowing the difference, or secretly running branded campaigns. Those are the 4 scams to be aware of, to avoid, and to basically challenge your agency to go, I want to make sure I'm not getting screwed by you. And you got to do that very carefully, because sometimes they get a little lying and they get turned off that you're asking these questions. So get an agency. It's going to fight for you, going to give you that real data so you can incrementally improve. And of course, if you don't have one, rotatedigital.com. We are the biggest and best marketing agency for movers. We've even wrote an entire book on it called Movers Marketing that you can pick up on Amazon. Thanks for your time today. I hope it was valuable. If you have more questions, leave it in the comments below. If you found this valuable, subscribe and like. I'll answer those questions. And thank you so much. Have a great day.